looking at composing and decomposing numbers. This is TK.2i. Students will compose and decompose numbers up to 10 with objects and pictures. We want to make sure that the students understand that these big words that we might be using, compose and decompose, simply mean to make or break apart a number. We want the students to use objects and pictures, so we can use things like unifix cubes, two-color counters. We can use the linking chains. You can even make number bracelets where the kids can manipulate and break those numbers apart. We always want to start very concretely with the students, having them manipulate the pieces around so they can see how I can move these apart to show that this is 6, but I can scoot another one over here and show that 1 and 5 is 6, or 2 and 4 is 6. Being able to manipulate is going to give them the power and the experience of using these numbers. We also want to work pictorially with the students. They can color, they can draw. We can give them pictures and ask them what number was this created and how did we create that number. The students do not have to take a number and actually just break it apart abstractly. So they do not need to just take the number 6 and just start listing and telling you 2 and 4, 5 and 1. The students do not have to do this in kindergarten. We also do not expect the students to be writing 6 and writing any type of abstract symbols here at the very beginning of the school year. So we're working very concretely, very pictorially for the students. We want the students to just show us, if they're doing some writing, what they've created. So if they used this chain to represent the number 6 and said, I broke this number apart, and the number 6 broke apart to 1 and 5, this would be an acceptable way to go from that concrete to abstract. They could even draw some type of picture in the middle of those. Working on composing and decomposing numbers is leading towards the strategy of making 10 when the students start working with addition in first grade, and it also goes to setting a foundation for compatible numbers and factoring. The compose and decompose will continue in math chat beyond this very first week of instruction. So an activity that you could do with the students is to just provide them some type of manipulative, I'm just going to model here using these linking cubes together, but to tell the students, boys and girls, can you go ahead and make 6 as many ways as possible using the linking cubes in front of you. So we would just provide a huge pile of linking cubes for the students, giving them 2 different colors and having them create 6 as many ways as possible. So they can just start connecting the cubes in order to make 6 in whichever ways they want. And so after they started creating, they would eventually end up with something that looked like this. And so these would be all of their ways to make 6, and we can have them represent that using numbers. So that's where they could have a piece of paper and they could write off to the side the different ways that they made 6 by showing 6 and 0, 1 and 5, and so on, to represent what they created. Not only do we want the students to work on writing their numbers and representing it very abstractly using numbers in writing, but we also want them to be as verbal as possible. So we want the students to use some sentence stems. And here's just some sample sentence stems that the students could use as they are breaking down or composing these different numbers. Blank and blank make the number 6. So they could use an example of 6 and 0 make the number 6. They could count the number of ways it took to make a number and use a sentence stem. They can write a number 6 can be composed into 0 and 6, 1 and 5, and continue on there. And lastly, I made the number 6 with 3 and 3. So using number stems is just going to give them a way to express, provide them with setting kind of a foundation of how they can use their verbal language to describe what they've done. Another very simple and easy activity that you could do with the students is to just provide them with a little baggie with some counters on the inside. In this baggie there are 6 counters, and we would just want them to show us different ways to make 6. And it's just a matter of moving them across, and you could say, show me a way to make 6, and the students could move the counters from one side to the other, and they could say, I made 6 by doing 2 and 4. If you have any questions on compose or decomposing numbers up to the number 10, just let us know.